The bus cut through the winding roads of Vermont as the afternoon sun painted the mountains surrounding Woodstock in shades of orange and gold. Lucy Morgan pressed her forehead against the fogged window, watching the urban landscape of Boston gradually give way to fields of corn, maple trees, and colonial houses with shingled roofs. It had been 12 years since she'd traveled this route. 12 years since she'd boarded a similar bus at 18, with a suitcase full of dreams and a broken heart, for reasons she didn't dare name back then. Now, at 30, Lucy was a different woman. Her short brown hair framed a face that had learned to hide emotions, and her hands, stained with paint under the nails, revealed her profession as an art conservator. She had built a life in the capital, a life that fit perfectly into the molds her family expected: independent, professional, successful. A life that was also deeply lonely. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was her mother again. "Are you on your way, honey? Your dad is very sick. The doctors say it's a matter of days." Lucy closed her eyes. Robert Morgan, the man who had been the pillar of her family, the owner of the oldest hardware store in town, was dying. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The news had arrived like a punch 3 days ago, and now she was returning to the place she had fled, to the town that held all her secrets. The bus began descending into the valley. The first houses of Woodstock appeared in the distance: white clapboard walls, brick facades, all crowned by church steeples rising toward the sky. It was a perfect postcard, the kind of image tourists photographed thousands of times a day. But for Lucy, every cobblestone street, every square and corner were loaded with memories she had tried to bury for over a decade. When the bus stopped at the station, the warm October air hit her like a slap of nostalgia. It smelled of wet earth from the last rain, of freshly baked bread, and that indefinable aroma that only existed in her hometown. She grabbed her suitcase and walked toward the exit, where her younger brother Daniel was waiting, leaning against an old Ford pickup. "Lucy." Daniel hugged her tightly. At 28, he still had that youthful smile, though now his eyes showed the same worry Lucy felt. "I thought you wouldn't come." "How could I not come?" she replied, feeling a knot in her throat. "How's Dad?" Daniel shook his head as he put the suitcase in the back of the truck. "Not good, sis. He's conscious but very weak. Mom hasn't left his side." He paused. "He missed you a lot these years, though he never said it." Lucy got in the vehicle without responding. Guilt was a familiar weight in her chest. She had returned only 3 times in 12 years, 2 Christmases and one of her mother's birthdays. Always short, rushed visits with excuses about work. The truth was more complicated. Woodstock held memories that were too intense, emotions she didn't know how to handle. As Daniel drove through the tree-lined streets toward the family home, Lucy observed the town's changes. There were more art galleries, more upscale restaurants, more tourists with cameras hanging from their necks. But the essence remained intact. Ladies selling flowers on the corner of the town green, children playing soccer in small parks, church bells marking the hours. They passed in front of Lincoln Elementary, and Lucy's heart skipped a beat. The brick walls with iron-framed windows looked exactly the same as in her childhood. That's where she had met Emma Walker when they were both 6 years old. Emma with the long black braids down to her waist. Emma with the contagious laugh that could light up an entire classroom. Emma who shared her peanut butter and jelly sandwich every recess. Emma, who was her best friend for 12 years. Emma, for whom she had fled from Woodstock. "Lucy?" Daniel's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "Are you okay? You look pale." "Yes, just tired from the trip," she lied, looking away from the school. The truck turned onto a side street and stopped in front of a 2-story house with cream-colored walls and a carved wooden door. The Morgan home. Lucy got out slowly, feeling that each step took her not only toward the house, but toward a past she had tried to escape. Her mother, Margaret, came out to meet her. She was a small woman of 55, with her hair pulled back in a bun and eyes red from crying. "Honey, thank God you made it." She hugged her tightly, and Lucy smelled the familiar scent of rosewater her mother always wore. "Your dad has been asking for you. Can I see him?" "Of course, he's awake. Just prepare yourself, he's very thin." Lucy climbed the stairs she had descended millions of times in her childhood. The wooden steps creaked with the same sound as always. Family photographs still hung on the walls. Her and Daniel as children, their parents young on their wedding day, birthday celebrations, first communions, a complete life captured in wooden frames. The door to her parents' room was ajar. Lucy took a deep breath and entered. Robert Morgan lay in the queen bed, his once robust body now reduced to skin and bones under white sheets. He was 62, but looked 80. His eyes, however, retained that spark of intelligence that had always characterized him. When he saw Lucy, a weak smile lit up his gaunt face. "Sweetheart, you came." His voice was barely a whisper. Lucy sat on the edge of the bed and took her father's hand. It was cold and bony, so different from the strong hands that had lifted her in his arms when she was a child. "Of course I came, Dad. I'm here. I thought you wouldn't want to come back," he said with effort. "I know this town holds difficult things for you." Lucy felt a knot in her throat. How much did her father know? How much had he intuited in those last days before her departure 12 years ago? "It doesn't matter, Dad. I'm here now. With you." Robert squeezed her hand with surprising strength for someone so weak. "Lucy, I need you to promise me something." He coughed, and his wife hurried to bring him a glass of water. "When I'm gone, I want you to fix things, the things you left unresolved. Life is too short to live with regrets, honey. Too short to run from what you feel." Tears began rolling down Lucy's cheeks. Her father knew. Maybe not the details, but he knew. "Dad, Shh." He raised a trembling finger. "Don't explain anything to me. Just promise me you'll be brave, braver than I was in many things in my life. Promise me you'll seek your happiness, no matter what others say." Lucy nodded, unable to speak. She kissed her father's forehead and left the room before completely breaking down. She took refuge in her old room, which her mother had kept exactly the same. The single bed with a floral bedspread, the desk where she had done thousands of homework assignments, shelves full of books, and, on the wall, still hung the painting she had made at 17, a sunrise over Woodstock, with church steeples emerging through the mist. She collapsed on the bed and cried. She cried for her dying father, for the lost years, for the fears that had pursued her all her life. And she cried for Emma, the friend she had left behind without explanations, the person whose memory continued burning in her chest like an ember that never went out. She didn't know that at that moment, just 6 blocks away, Emma Walker was also thinking of her. The following days passed in a fog of vigil by her father's bedside, visits from relatives and neighbors bringing food and words of comfort, and long, sleepless nights where Lucy faced her own demons. Robert slept more and more, and when he woke, his moments of lucidity were increasingly brief. The whole town knew that Lucy Morgan had returned. Woodstock was like that, a beautiful but claustrophobic place where everyone knew everyone's life. At the market, at church, on the streets, people whispered, "Robert's daughter came back. They say she's very changed. Works in the capital, you know. Those big cities change people." Lucy tried to ignore the curious looks. On the 4th day of her return, she went out early to buy pastries at Green Mountain Bakery, the same one her grandmother used to take her to every Sunday. October in Woodstock was beautiful. The crisp morning air, the intense blue sky, the maples still with some red and gold leaves on their branches. She was walking down Central Street when she saw her. Emma Walker was across the street, coming out of a textile shop with a bag in her hand. For a second that seemed eternal. Their eyes met. Emma was still beautiful. Her black hair was now cut shoulder length instead of the long braids of her youth, and her face had matured, losing its youthful roundness to gain defined cheekbones that gave her an elegant air. She wore a white blouse and jeans, simple but perfectly her. Her dark eyes, those eyes Lucy had seen in dreams for 12 years, widened with surprise. Time stopped. The sounds of the street vendors, tourists, traffic, faded away. Only the two of them existed, separated by a few meters of pavement, but connected by an invisible bond that time hadn't managed to break. Emma took a step forward, then stopped. Her face showed a mixture of emotions. Surprise, pain, something that could have been joy. She opened her mouth as if to say something. But Lucy, gripped by panic, by the fear she had cultivated for 12 years, turned around and walked quickly in the opposite direction. "Lucy, Wait! She heard Emma's voice behind her, that voice that had been her favorite in the whole world. But Lucy didn't stop. She quickened her pace, turned a corner, and practically ran back to her house, her heart beating so hard she felt it would burst from her chest. She arrived breathless, closed the door behind her, and leaned against the wood, trembling. If this feels like I'm reading your mind, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments. Have you ever run from someone you loved because you were afraid? I read all the comments, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Honey? Are you okay? Her mother appeared from the kitchen, drying her hands on her apron. Yes, Mom. Just ran a bit. It's been a while since I exercised. She lied, trying to control her breathing. Margaret looked at her with that maternal intuition that sees everything, but didn't ask questions. She simply nodded and returned to the kitchen. Lucy went up to her room and sat on the bed, still trembling. She had seen Emma, after 12 years, after all the scenarios she had imagined for that encounter. She had fled like a coward. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Promise me you'll be brave. But how could she be brave when the mere sight of Emma made her feel like all her protective walls were crumbling? That night, while watching over her father who slept with irregular breathing, Lucy allowed her mind to travel to the past, to the memories she had tried to keep locked away for so long. 12 years ago, Lucy and Emma were 18 and had the whole world ahead of them. They had been inseparable since the first day of elementary school, when Emma had shared her crayons with Lucy, who had forgotten hers at home. That friendship had grown through the years. Shared secrets, endless laughter, consoled tears, dreams confessed during sleepovers. In high school, while their classmates talked about boyfriends and dates, Lucy and Emma remained united, happy in their bubble of two. Lucy had realized something was different when she was 16, when she began to feel butterflies in her stomach every time Emma held her hand, when her heart raced if their shoulders brushed on the school bus, when she could spend hours just watching her friend's profile while they studied together. At first, she thought it was a phase. Then she tried to convince herself that all friends felt this way about their best friends, but the truth was undeniable. She was in love with Emma Walker. The summer after graduating from high school, everything changed. It was July 15th, during the town's summer festival. They had escaped together from the town green where there was music and dancing, looking for a quiet place. They ended up at the overlook that gave a view of the valley, sitting on a stone bench under a sky full of stars. Have you decided what you're going to do? Emma asked, looking at the town lights below. Are you going to university in Boston? Lucy nodded, though the idea of separating from Emma physically hurt. My dad says it's a good opportunity. Art conservation. It's what I always wanted to study. I'm going to miss you so much, Emma said, and her voice broke a little. And I'll miss you. But you're leaving too, aren't you? To New York. To study graphic design. Yes, but... Emma turned to look at her directly. The moonlight made her eyes shine in a way Lucy would never forget. Lucy, I need to tell you something. Something I've wanted to tell you for a long time. Lucy's heart raced. There was something in Emma's tone, in the way she looked at her, that was different. What's going on? Emma took her hand. That simple contact made Lucy feel electricity run through her entire body. I don't know how to say this. I've practiced 1,000 times in my head. But now that you're here, the words escape me. Emma took a deep breath. Lucy, you're not just my best friend. You're everything to me. When I think about my future, I see you in it. When I'm sad, you're the one who makes me smile. And when I'm happy, I just want to share it with you. I think I love you. Not as a friend, in a different way. The world stopped. Lucy felt she couldn't breathe. Everything she had felt for years, everything she had tried to hide, was suddenly there, exposed in Emma's words. Emma, You don't have to say anything if you don't feel the same. Emma spoke quickly, as if afraid of losing her courage. I know this is complicated, that it's not what people expect, but I can't leave without telling you. I can't spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I had been brave. Lucy looked into her eyes, and in that moment, her entire life divided into a before and after. She could be honest. She could admit she felt exactly the same, that she had been in love with Emma for years. Or she could protect herself, protect both of them from the town's judgment, from stares, from possible disappointment from their families. Fear won. Emma, I love you very much. You're my best friend, but I don't feel that. I'm sorry. The words came out of her mouth like poison, poisoning her too. I think maybe you confused the feelings. We're very close, that's all. The pain that crossed Emma's face was like a dagger in Lucy's heart. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hold back. I understand, Emma said with a trembling voice, letting go of Lucy's hand. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. It was foolish. It wasn't foolish. Lucy wanted to hug her, wanted to tell her the truth, but panic paralyzed her. It's just that It's okay. Emma stood up from the bench. We should go back. They'll miss us. They walked back to the town green in an uncomfortable silence that had never existed between them. That was the last time they were truly together. Lucy left for Boston 2 weeks later, without saying goodbye properly. Emma sent her some messages the first few months, trying to maintain the friendship, but Lucy responded less and less frequently until she stopped responding altogether. She fled. She fled from Woodstock, from Emma, from her own feelings. And she spent the next 12 years convincing herself she had done the right thing. The present brought her back with a sigh from her father. Robert opened his eyes and looked at her. What are you thinking about, honey? His voice was barely audible. About the past, Dad. About the decisions I made. It's never too late to make new decisions, he said. Never too late to be brave. 2 days later, in the early morning of October 23rd, Robert Morgan passed away surrounded by his family. His last breath was peaceful, as if he had simply fallen asleep. Lucy held his hand until the end, feeling the vital warmth slowly fade away. The funeral was 3 days later. All of Woodstock seemed to show up at St. James Episcopal Church to say goodbye to Robert, a respected and beloved man in the community. Lucy stood next to her mother and brother, receiving condolences, listening to stories about her father's kindness, feeling the weight of grief like a heavy blanket on her shoulders. And then, in the middle of the line of people offering their condolences, Emma appeared. She wore a simple black dress, her hair pulled back in a low bun. Her eyes showed genuine compassion when she approached Margaret. Mrs. Margaret, my deepest condolences. Robert was a wonderful man, she said in a soft voice. Thank you, Emma dear. It's good to see you, Margaret replied, hugging her. It's been so long. Emma turned to Lucy. For a moment, neither spoke. The rest of the world seemed to vanish. There was so much to say, so much lost time, so much accumulated pain. I'm so sorry, Lucy, Emma finally said. Your father was always very good to me. Thank you, Lucy managed to say, her voice barely a whisper. Emma hesitated, as if she wanted to say something more, but then simply nodded and moved on. Lucy watched her walk away, disappearing among the crowd of mourners, and felt that a part of her went with Emma. After the funeral, after the burial at the Woodstock cemetery, after the last relatives and friends left the house, leaving them finally alone, Lucy sat in the backyard under the starry October sky. The house was silent. Her mother slept exhausted in her room. Daniel had gone out for a walk to clear his mind. Lucy looked at the stars, the same stars under which Emma had confessed her love 12 years ago. And for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to feel. She felt the pain of losing her father, the regret for the years she hadn't spent with him, and above all, she felt the weight of the truth she had been denying for too long. She was in love with Emma Walker. She always had been. And she had wasted 12 years running from that truth. Her father had asked her to be brave, to seek her happiness no matter what others said. It was time to fulfill that promise, but how could she approach Emma after everything that had happened? How could she hope that Emma still felt something after so much time? After having rejected her in the cruelest way, Lucy didn't have the answers. She only knew she couldn't keep running, not this time. The week after the funeral passed in a strange and painful routine. The Morgan house was full of silence, that kind of heavy silence left by the absence of someone loved. Margaret moved like a ghost among the rooms, touching her husband's things, his favorite chair in the living room, his coffee mug in the cupboard, his tools in the garage. As if by touching them, she could bring him back even for a moment. Daniel had taken the reins of the hardware store with a determination that surprised Lucy. Her younger brother, the one who had always been the most relaxed, the family joker, now got up before dawn to open the business, check inventory, and attend to customers with the same dedication their father had shown for 40 years. Lucy, for her part, found herself trapped in limbo. She had requested indefinite leave from her job in Boston, telling her boss she needed time to be with her family. The truth was more complicated. She didn't know if she wanted to go back. For the first time in 12 years, Woodstock didn't feel like a prison, but like a place where she might find answers to questions she had been avoiding her entire adult life. It was a Tuesday morning, 8 days after the funeral, when her mother finally broke her silence. "Honey, I need you to help me with something," Margaret said as they prepared breakfast together. The smell of freshly brewed coffee and toast filled the kitchen. "Of course, Mom. Whatever you need. Your father kept many things in the attic, you know. The one we used for storage. Documents, old photographs. Things from when you were children. I think it's time to organize them, maybe donate what we no longer need." Margaret paused, her eyes moist. "I can't do it alone." Lucy hugged her mother, feeling how fragile she felt in her arms. "You're not alone, Mom. I'll help you." After breakfast, they went up together to the third level of the house, a space under the roof that had served as storage for decades. The room was full of cardboard boxes, old trunks, furniture covered with white sheets, and that particular smell of old things and accumulated dust. Light entered through a small window overlooking the neighbor's yard. "My God, I didn't remember there was so much," Margaret said, looking around with a mixture of amazement and overwhelm. "Don't worry, Mom. We'll do it little by little. Where do you want to start?" They spent the next few hours going through boxes. There was everything. Old invoices from the hardware store, toys from when Lucy and Daniel were children, baby clothes stored with the smell of mothballs, high school textbooks, photo albums documenting an entire family life. Lucy found herself lost in memories. There were photos of her at 6 years old, missing her front teeth, smiling at the camera. Her and Daniel playing in the yard. Their young parents, embracing in front of the newly opened hardware store. And among all those images, another girl constantly appeared. Emma. Emma at her 7th birthday, both in princess dresses. Emma and Lucy on the Day of the Dead with their faces painted. Emma, Lucy, and other friends on a school trip to the Adirondacks. Years and years of friendship captured on photographic paper. "You were inseparable," Margaret commented, looking over her daughter's shoulder. "You and Emma. I always thought that..." She stopped. "Thought what, Mom?" Margaret sighed and sat in an old wooden chair. "I always thought there was something more there. Something you didn't even understand yourself," she said with a softness that surprised Lucy. "The way you looked at her, honey. The way your whole world seemed to revolve around her. It wasn't just friendship." Lucy felt her heart stop. Had her mother known all this time? "Mom, Shh, let me finish." Margaret took her daughter's hand. "I'm not stupid, Lucy. I'm from a small town, from a more conservative generation, but I'm not blind. I saw how you changed that last summer before you left. How suddenly you didn't want to see Emma. How you avoided talking about her. And I saw the pain in your eyes when you got on that bus to the Capitol. It was the pain of someone leaving behind more than just their home." Tears began rolling down Lucy's cheeks without her being able to control them. "I was afraid, Mom, so afraid. Of what I felt, of what people would say, of disappointing you and Dad." Margaret squeezed her hand tightly. "Honey, your father and I just wanted you to be happy. Yes. Maybe it would have been hard for us to understand at first. Maybe we would have made mistakes, said the wrong things, but we would never, never have stopped loving you. You're our daughter. That's all that matters." "Did Dad know?" "Your father was more perceptive than he appeared. Before the end, he told me, 'Margaret, when I'm gone, help Lucy find her way back home. The real way back.' I think he was referring to this, to you stopping running from who you really are." Lucy collapsed in her mother's arms, crying like she hadn't cried in years. All the accumulated tension, all the stored pain, all the guilt she had carried like a backpack of stones for 12 years, finally found an outlet. Margaret rocked her gently, stroking her hair like when she was a child. "It's okay, honey. It's okay. It's time to be honest with yourself. It's time to live your truth." Several minutes passed before Lucy could speak again. "I don't know if after all this time, there's only one way to find out," Margaret said, wiping her tears with her thumb. "But first, you need to be at peace with who you are. You need to accept yourself completely before you can expect someone else to accept you." Lucy nodded, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time, a small spark of hope. They continued going through boxes the rest of the afternoon. When the sun began to set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks, they found a wooden trunk in a corner, half hidden behind a pile of old blankets. "This belonged to your grandmother," Margaret said. "I haven't opened it in years." Inside the trunk were vintage dresses, embroidered shawls, costume jewelry, and at the bottom a yellowed envelope with Lucy's name written in her grandmother Helen's elegant handwriting. "What is this?" Lucy asked, taking the envelope carefully. "I don't know. Open it." With trembling hands, Lucy broke the seal of the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter on several pages. "My dear Lucy," the letter began. "If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer in this world, and I hope you're old enough to understand what I'm going to tell you." Lucy and her mother exchanged confused looks. Grandmother Helen had died when Lucy was 14. How could she have written a letter for her? Lucy continued reading aloud. "I've lived 72 years in this beautiful town, and I've seen a lot. I've seen love in all its forms. I've seen pain. I've seen courage and cowardice. But there's a story I never told anyone. Not even your grandfather. A story I've kept in my heart for over 50 years. When I was your age, 20 years old, I fell in love. Not with your grandfather, though I came to love him deeply over the years. I fell in love with my best friend, Dorothy. It was 1945, and the world had just emerged from a terrible war. In Woodstock, as everywhere, there were strict rules about what was acceptable and what wasn't. Love between two women was something that simply wasn't talked about, something hidden in the shadows. Dorothy and I were friends since childhood, just like you and your Emma. And when we grew up, that friendship transformed into something deeper, more intense. We loved each other, Lucy, in the purest and truest way that exists. But fear was bigger than our love. Fear of rejection, of shame for our families, of being expelled from the town we loved. So we did what was expected of us. I married your grandfather, a good man who treated me with respect and affection. Dorothy married a merchant from Burlington and moved far away. We had separate lives, our own families, but we never stopped loving each other. We wrote letters in secret. We saw each other when we could invent some excuse. We lived a half-life, always wondering what would have happened if we had been braver. Dorothy died 3 years ago, cancer. I couldn't be with her at the end because how would I have explained my presence? To the world, we were barely old friends. Only we knew the truth. I'm telling you this, my dear Lucy, because I've seen in your eyes the same struggle I lived. I've seen how you look at Emma. I've seen your internal conflict. And I want you to know, not to make my mistake. The world is changing, though slowly. The rules are changing. And you have an opportunity I never had. The opportunity to live your truth without hiding. It won't be easy. There will be people who don't understand, who judge, who criticize. But those people don't have to live your life. You do. Don't waste your life like I wasted mine. Don't spend 50 years wondering what if. Life is too short, too precious to live a lie. Be brave, my girl. Be braver than I was. And if Emma feels the same about you, don't let her go. True love is too rare and beautiful to sacrifice it for fear. I love you, always. Your grandmother, Helen. When Lucy finished reading, both were crying. Margaret covered her mouth with one hand, surprised. Your grandmother. I never knew. I never suspected anything. She lived a whole life with a secret, Lucy said, holding the letter against her chest. I don't want that for myself, Mom. I don't want to grow old and regret not being honest. Then don't, Margaret replied firmly. Go find her. Go find Emma and tell her the truth. Tell her everything you've been keeping for 12 years. What if it's too late? What if she's already moved on with her life, if she doesn't feel anything for me anymore? Then at least you'll know you tried. At least you won't have to carry the what if. That's more than your grandmother had. Margaret took her daughter's face in her hands. Your father asked me to help you be brave. This is what it means. No more running. Face your feelings, no matter the outcome. Lucy nodded, feeling a determination grow in her chest. Her grandmother had lived 50 years with a secret love. Her father had died asking her to be brave. Emma had confessed her love 12 years ago, risking everything, and she had rejected her out of cowardice. It was time to change that story. The following days, Lucy dedicated herself to discreetly investigating about Emma. It wasn't difficult. In a town the size of Woodstock, everyone knew about everyone. Through casual conversations with neighbors and old acquaintances, she pieced together the puzzle of the life Emma had built after their separation. Emma had studied graphic design in New York as she had planned. She had graduated with honors and had returned to Woodstock 5 years ago when her mother fell ill with diabetes. Now she ran her own design studio from a small office in the historic downtown, working mainly with art galleries and local restaurants. She lived alone in an apartment near the town green. She wasn't married. She had no known partner, at least not publicly. Lucy also discovered something that broke her heart. Emma had been present at the funeral, not just to give her condolences. She had been the one who organized a collection among former schoolmates to help with funeral expenses. It had been Emma who had coordinated for several local businesses to send food to the Morgan house during the week of mourning. All of this she had done discreetly, without seeking recognition. That girl has a heart of gold, Mrs. Richardson, the next-door neighbor, told Lucy when she asked. Always helping the community, always with a smile. It's a shame she's alone. Such a beautiful and talented woman should have a family. Lucy didn't respond, but her words kept resonating in her mind. Emma was alone. Could it be possible that after all these years, she had also been waiting? Or was Lucy projecting her own desires onto a situation that might no longer have a solution? On Thursday of the second week, Lucy finally made a decision. She got up early, showered, and put on her most presentable clothes, a light blue dress and comfortable shoes. She stood in front of her room's mirror, observing her reflection. She was no longer the scared 18-year-old girl. She was a 30-year-old woman with a career, with life experience. It was time to act like one. "Where are you going all dressed up?" Daniel asked when he saw her come down the stairs. "I have to do something I should have done 12 years ago," Lucy replied. Daniel smiled knowingly. "It's about Emma, right? Mom told me. Go, sis. Go fix things. It's about time." Lucy gave him a kiss on the cheek and left the house. The November sun shone brightly, and Woodstock was in all its splendor. Tourists strolled through the streets, taking photographs of the colorful facades. Artisans sold their products on the town green. Church bells rang, marking 10 in the morning. Lucy walked with determined steps toward downtown, following the directions she had gotten for Emma's studio. It was located on Elm Street, on the second floor of a restored colonial building, above a French cafe very popular among tourists. She climbed the stone stairs, her heart beating faster and faster. The studio door had a small plaque that said, "Walker Design," with an elegant logo. Through the frosted glass door, Lucy could see shadows moving inside. She raised her hand to knock, but the door opened before she could. A young woman, about 25 years old, with violet-dyed hair and multiple piercings, came out carrying a portfolio. "Oh, sorry. Almost ran into you," the girl said. "Looking for Emma? She's inside reviewing some designs. Come in." Lucy entered the studio. It was a bright space with white walls covered with designs, sketches, and photographs. There were 2 desks with Mac computers, a large meeting table, and shelves full of folders and materials. The place smelled of freshly brewed coffee and the colored markers scattered across all surfaces. And there, sitting in front of one of the computers with reading glasses and concentrated on the screen, was Emma. She wore a mustard-colored sweater and jeans, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. There was a half-finished cup of coffee next to her mouse, and several papers with notes scattered across her desk. She looked so natural, so herself, so beautiful that Lucy felt she was losing her breath. Emma looked up, perhaps sensing someone's presence. When she saw Lucy standing at the entrance to her studio, her face went through a rapid sequence of emotions: surprise, confusion, something that could have been hope, and then careful neutrality. She slowly removed her glasses and stood up. "Lucy," she said, and her name on Emma's lips sounded like a song she had forgotten how much she loved. "I didn't expect... What are you doing here?" Lucy took a step inside the studio, closing the door behind her for privacy. "I needed to see you. I needed to talk to you." Emma crossed her arms, a defensive gesture Lucy recognized immediately. It was what Emma did when she tried to protect herself. "Talk? It's been 12 years, Lucy. 12 years without a single word from you. And now, suddenly you need to talk?" The pain in Emma's voice was palpable. Lucy deserved it. She deserved her anger, her resentment, everything Emma wanted to throw at her. "You're right. You have every right in the world to be angry with me. What I did to you, how I disappeared without explanations, was cruel and unfair." Lucy felt tears threatening to come out, but swallowed them. "But I need you to know the truth. I need you to understand why I did what I did, even though there's no excuse for it." Emma remained silent, looking at her with those dark eyes that had always been able to see through all her defenses. "I'm listening," she finally said. Lucy took a deep breath, searching for the words she had mentally rehearsed for days, but that now seemed to escape her memory. Emma remained standing by her desk, arms crossed, waiting. The light entering through the studio's high windows created a halo around her figure, and for a moment, Lucy thought she had never seen anything more beautiful and more terrifying at the same time. "That night at the Overlook," Lucy began, her voice barely louder than a whisper. "When you told me how you felt about me, I lied." Emma visibly tensed, but said nothing. "I lied when I told you I didn't feel the same. I lied when I said you were only my friend. The truth is that Lucy felt the words getting stuck in her throat, years of fear and denial fighting against her need for honesty. "The truth is, I was in love with you, deeply in love. I had been since I was 16, maybe earlier without realizing it." Emma dropped her arms to her sides, her face showing a mixture of shock and pain. "What?" Her voice came out broken. Then, "Why? Why did you reject me like that? Why did you make me feel like I had misinterpreted everything, like I had ruined our friendship with my stupid feelings? Because I was afraid," Lucy admitted, and now the tears did begin to fall. "I was so afraid, Emma, afraid of what it meant to feel that for another woman, afraid of disappointing my family, afraid of what the town would say, afraid of not being normal. I was 18 and terrified of my own truth." "So you ran," Emma said, her voice now charged with emotion. "You left for Boston and left me here, believing I had lost you for being honest with you. Do you know how much that hurt, Lucy? How many nights I spent crying, wondering what I had done wrong. I know, and I'm so sorry." Lucy took a step toward her. "I was a coward. I hurt you because I didn't have the courage to be honest with myself. And I've lived these 12 years with that regret, with the weight of knowing I rejected the only real and true thing I've ever felt in my life." Emma turned around, giving her back, her shoulders trembling slightly. Lucy could see she was crying, and the desire to hug her, to comfort her, was almost physically painful. "Why now?" Emma asked without turning around. "Why, after so much time, do you come to tell me this?" "Because my father died asking me to be brave. Because I found a letter from my grandmother telling me she also fell in love with her best friend and never had the courage to live that love and spent 50 years regretting it. Because my mother told me to stop running from who I really am." Lucy wiped her tears. "But most of all, because I saw you on the street 2 weeks ago and realized that 12 years haven't changed anything. I still feel the same. I still love you." Emma turned slowly, her face streaked with tears. In her eyes was a storm of emotions: pain, anger, hope, fear. "You can't do this," she said, her voice breaking. "You can't show up after 12 years and tell me you love me, You can't break my heart once and expect me to let you back in just like that. I know. I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know it might be too late, that maybe you've moved on with your life." Lucy clenched her hands, trying to maintain composure. "But I needed you to know the truth. I needed you to know it wasn't your fault, that it never was. You were incredibly brave that night, and I was the coward." Silence stretched between them, heavy and charged. Outside, they could hear the sounds of Woodstock, distant traffic, tourists' conversations on the street, bells from a nearby church. But inside the studio, only the two of them existed, and the weight of 12 years of silence. "You know what's hardest?" Emma finally said, wiping tears with the back of her hand. "That part of me wants to hate you, wants to yell at you, kick you out of my studio and tell you never to come back. But there's another part of me, the part that could never forget you, that wants to believe this can be real." "Do you still feel something for me?" Lucy asked, barely daring to hope. Emma let out a bitter laugh. "If I still feel something for you? Lucy, I spent 2 years in therapy trying to get over you. I dated other people, tried to build a life without you in it. And all this time, every time someone asked me why I was single, the truth was that no one compared to you. The 18-year-old girl who broke my heart was still the love of my life." Lucy's heart gave a painful leap in her chest. "Emma." "But it's not that simple," Emma interrupted. "I can't just forgive you and pretend those 12 years didn't happen. You hurt me, Lucy. Deeply. And I need time to process all this, to understand if I can trust you again." "I understand," Lucy said, trying to hide her disappointment. "I don't expect you to forgive me immediately. Just, could we talk? Maybe get coffee, catch up. No pressure, no expectations. Just reconnect as people." Emma looked at her for a long moment, as if evaluating her, trying to decide if it was worth the risk again. "There's a cafe downstairs," she finally said. "I'll finish reviewing this design in half an hour. If you're still there when I come down, we can talk. But Lucy, you need to understand something. If we're going to do this, if we're going to try, whatever this might be, I need total honesty. No more running, no more lies, no more disappearances. Understand?" "Yes," Lucy replied firmly. "Total honesty. I promise you." Emma nodded, wiping away the last tears. "Then, I'll see you downstairs in half an hour." Lucy left the studio with trembling legs. She went down the stairs and entered the French cafe on the ground floor. "Café Chez Pierre," said the hand-painted sign. The interior was cozy, with small wrought-iron tables, wicker chairs, and cream-colored walls decorated with black and white photographs of Paris. She ordered an Americano and sat at a table by the window where she could see the street. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the hot cup. She had taken the first step. She had been honest. And Emma hadn't thrown her out, hadn't completely closed the door. The next 30 minutes were the longest of her life. She looked at her phone every 2 minutes, then put it away, then took it out again. What if Emma changed her mind? What if she decided it wasn't worth the risk? But exactly 32 minutes later, the cafe doorbell rang and Emma entered. She had let her hair down and put on a more elegant sweater. Her eyes were still a bit red, but she had put on light makeup. She looked beautiful. Emma ordered a latte and sat across from Lucy. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply looked at each other. Really looked at each other for the first time in 12 years. "I don't know where to start," Lucy finally said. "Why don't you start by telling me about your life in Boston?" Emma suggested. 12 years is a long time. I want to know who Lucy Morgan is now." And so they began, slowly at first, carefully, like two people learning to walk again after an injury. Lucy told her about her work restoring colonial art in museums, about her small apartment in the Back Bay, about the exhibitions she had attended, and the artists she had met. She spoke of her professional life with pride, but also admitted how lonely her personal existence had been. "Did you ever have a serious relationship?" Emma asked. Lucy shook her head. "I dated some people, a couple of guys at first, trying to convince myself I could be straight if I tried hard enough. Then, about 5 years ago, I finally accepted I was a lesbian. I dated a couple of women, but it never went beyond a few dates. I couldn't really connect with anyone because..." She paused. Because I kept comparing them to you. Emma took a sip of her coffee, her eyes never leaving Lucy's face. And your family? Do they know you're a lesbian? My mom knows now. We talked after the funeral. Turns out she always knew, or at least suspected. She was incredibly understanding.
Daniel knows too, and he's fine with it. My dad. I think he knew too. He asked me to be brave before he died. I think he knew exactly what he meant. Your dad was a good man, Emma said sincerely. He was always kind to me. He loved you. He always asked about you when he called me, though I quickly changed the subject. Lucy smiled sadly. Now I realize he was trying to gently push me toward you, even without knowing the whole story. Emma played with her cup, her fingers tracing the edge. And you? Lucy asked. Tell me about your life. I know you studied in New York, that you came back 5 years ago, that you have your own studio. What else? Were you happy? Emma considered the question carefully. Happy is a complicated word. I had happy moments, yes. I loved studying design. It was exactly what I wanted to do. I made good friends in New York. I dated some people. She made a significant pause. All women. I didn't have your internal conflict about my sexual orientation. After what happened with you, there was no point in denying it. Any serious relationship? One. Her name was Andrea. We were together 3 years. She was an architect, smart, beautiful, kind. Everything you're supposed to look for in a partner. Emma looked out the window. But something was missing. She felt it too. We ended amicably 2 years ago. She moved to Portland for work. We still text occasionally. What was missing? Lucy asked, though she feared the answer. Emma looked directly into her eyes. You. You were missing. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I told myself I should get over the girl who rejected me when I was 18, I couldn't. It was you or no one. Lucy felt the air escape her lungs. The intensity in Emma's eyes, the raw honesty in her words was overwhelming. I came back to Woodstock 5 years ago when my mom got sick, Emma continued. I thought it would be temporary, just until she stabilized, but I realized I had missed this place. I missed the streets, the traditions, the community, and yes, part of me hoped. I don't know. Maybe that you would come back someday too. I'm sorry, Lucy said for the umpteenth time. I'm sorry I made you wait. I'm sorry I wasted so much time. We can't change the past, Emma said. We can only decide what to do with the present. They stayed at the cafe for 3 hours, talking. They talked about their dreams and fears, about movies they had seen, and books they had read, about politics and art, and the small everyday things that make up a life. It was as if 12 years of lost conversations were trying to compress into a single afternoon. When the sun began to set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks, Emma looked at her watch. I should go. I have to meet a client at 7. Of course, sure, Lucy said, trying to hide her disappointment. They left the cafe together. The temperature had dropped, and Emma hugged herself, rubbing her arms. Without thinking, Lucy took off her jacket and offered it to her. No, I'm fine, Emma protested. Please. You've always been cold-natured, Lucy said with a small smile. Emma accepted the jacket, and when she put it on, Lucy noticed how it was a bit big on her, how her hands barely peeked out of the sleeves. She looked adorable, and Lucy had to resist the impulse to tell her. They walked together to the town green, where they had to separate to go in different directions. The church lights were already on, illuminating the steeples against the darkening sky. There was live music at the gazebo, probably a jazz band, and couples strolling hand in hand. Lucy, Emma said when they reached the center of the green. Thank you for being honest today. I know it wasn't easy. I should have done it 12 years ago. But you did it today. That counts, Emma hesitated, then added, would you like... Maybe we could do this again? Get coffee, talk? Lucy's heart raced. I'd love to. When? Tomorrow? I have the afternoon free. We could go for a walk, maybe to the Overlook. Emma blushed slightly. I know it has complicated memories for both of us, but maybe it's time to create new memories there. Sounds perfect. They said goodbye with an awkward but sincere hug. Lucy watched Emma walk away toward her apartment, still wearing the jacket, and felt something she hadn't felt in years,
genuine hope. When she got home, her mother and Daniel were waiting for her in the living room. "Well?" Daniel asked anxiously. "How did it go?" Lucy dropped onto the sofa with a smile. "It was complicated, painful, honest, but it was also wonderful. We're seeing each other again tomorrow." Margaret hugged her daughter. "I'm proud of you, honey. Your father would be proud too." That night, Lucy slept better than she had slept in years. She dreamed of flowering trees, of cobblestone streets bathed in sunlight, and of dark eyes looking at her with something that looked a lot like love. The following days passed in a kind of beautiful and terrifying limbo. Lucy and Emma began seeing each other regularly, slowly rebuilding the trust that had been broken 12 years ago. Each encounter was a mixture of nostalgia and discovery, recognizing traces of the girls they had been while getting to know the women they had become. The first meeting at the Overlook was tense, but necessary. They arrived separately at the place where everything had changed so many years ago. The stone bench was still there, with a spectacular view of the valley and the town spreading below like a tapestry of autumn colors. "The last time we were here, I had a broken heart and you fled," Emma said, sitting on the bench. "I know." Lucy sat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. "I can't change that, Emma, but I can promise you that this time I'm not going to run." Emma looked at her with those eyes that had always been able to see through her. "How can I know that's true? How do I know you won't get scared again and disappear for another 12 years? It was a fair question, and Lucy had anticipated it. "I can't give you an absolute guarantee. I can't predict the future, but I can tell you that these 12 years without you were the loneliest and emptiest of my life. That every day I regretted letting you go. And that now that I've tasted what it's like to be close to you again, the idea of losing you again is 1,000 times more terrifying than any fear I had before." Emma remained silent, processing her words. A gentle breeze moved her hair, and Lucy had to resist the impulse to reach out and tuck it behind her ear. "I need you to understand something," Emma finally said. "I'm not the same 18-year-old girl I was. I've changed. I've become stronger, more independent. I don't need someone to complete my life. I'm complete on my own. But that doesn't mean I don't want to share my life with someone, with the right person. And do you think I could be that person?" Lucy asked softly. "I don't know yet. That's why we need time. We need to get to know each other again, as the people we are now, not as the memories we kept from high school." Emma turned on the bench to face her directly. "Can you give me that time? Can you be patient while I figure out if I can trust you again?" "I can give you all the time you need," Lucy replied. "I'm not going anywhere," and she kept her promise. The following days turned into weeks, and the weeks into a month. Lucy extended her leave from work, telling her boss she needed more time in Woodstock. The truth was, she didn't want to leave. Not yet. Not when she finally had the chance to fix the biggest mistake of her life. They saw each other almost every day. Sometimes they had coffee at Chez Pierre. Other times they walked through the downtown streets, visiting art galleries and boutiques. Lucy occasionally accompanied Emma to client meetings, fascinated to see her talent in action. Emma was brilliant at her work, creative and professional, and Lucy felt an almost tangible pride watching her negotiate with gallery owners and restaurant owners. One afternoon, Emma invited Lucy to her apartment. It was a small but cozy space on the second floor of a colonial building, with high-beam ceilings and large windows overlooking an interior courtyard full of plants. The walls were painted white and decorated with work by local artists. There was a living room with a comfortable sofa and many cushions, a small but functional kitchen, and a corner converted into a home office with a drawing table and more computers. "It's perfect," Lucy said, looking around. "It's totally you." "Thanks. It took me a while to make it feel like home, but now it is." Emma poured 2 glasses of red wine. "Come, I want to show you something." She led her to a shelf in the living room where there were photo albums. Emma took one out and opened it, revealing photographs from her childhood and adolescence. Many included Lucy. "I kept them all," Emma said softly. "Even after you left, even when I was angry with you, I couldn't get rid of these photos. They were all I had left of you." Lucy turned the pages, seeing their lives documented on photographic paper. Them on Halloween dressed as witches, at the lake during a school trip, graduating from middle school. So many captured moments, so many memories. I kept photos too, Lucy admitted. I have them in my apartment in Boston. Sometimes, on nights when I felt especially lonely, I'd take them out and allow myself to remember. It was a sweet torture. Emma closed the album and set it aside. They sat on the sofa, closer than they had been since reuniting. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said. "When did you know for certain you were a lesbian? When did you stop fighting against it?" Lucy thought carefully about her answer. "I think I always knew, on some level. But accepting it, really accepting it, took years. I remember the exact moment I stopped fighting. I was 23 and on a date with a guy. He was nice, kind, everything you're supposed to want. And while he talked, all I could think about was you, how I would never feel for him what I felt for you. I went to the restaurant bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and said, 'You're a lesbian. Stop pretending you're not.' It was liberating and terrifying at the same time. And then what did you do?" "I ended the date early, apologized, told him there was no connection, and then I went to a gay bar in the South End. I had never been to one. I sat at the bar, ordered a drink, and just observed. I saw women dancing together, kissing, holding hands. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was in the right place." Lucy smiled sadly, "though I still had years to go before really coming out publicly. Before telling my family. Was it hard telling your mom? I thought it would be. I had planned this whole elaborate speech, but when I finally did it, just a few weeks ago after the funeral, it was anticlimactic. She just hugged me and told me she had always known, that she was just waiting for me to be ready to tell her." Lucy shook her head. "I spent 12 years terrified of disappointing her, and it turns out she just wanted me to be happy." "Your mom is a wise woman," Emma said. "And yours?" Lucy asked. "Does she know about you?" Emma's face darkened a bit. "My mom is more complicated. She's very religious, you know, devout Catholic. When I told her I was a lesbian, about 7 years ago, she didn't take it well. There were tears, prayers, attempts to take me to talk to Father Michael, but over time, especially after she got sick, I think she started to understand she had to choose, either accept me as I was or lose me. She chose to accept me, though not completely. She doesn't talk about it, pretends it doesn't exist, but she doesn't try to change me anymore. I'm sorry. That must be hard. It is, but it's better than nothing." Emma took a sip of her wine. "At least I have my friends. There's a small LGBT community in Woodstock, though it's not very visible. We support each other. It's different from Boston, where there's more freedom to be openly gay, but here there are also safe spaces if you know where to look. Would you introduce me to your friends?" Lucy asked. If this goes somewhere between us, I want to know the important people in your life." Emma smiled, the first completely genuine smile Lucy had seen on her since returning. "I'd like that. Actually, there's a gathering this Saturday at my friends Carmen and Sophie's house. They've been a couple for 5 years and organize monthly dinners for the group. Want to come with me? I'd love to." Saturday arrived with clear skies and pleasant temperatures. Lucy dressed carefully, wanting to make a good impression but without overdoing it. She chose dark jeans, a burgundy blouse, and comfortable boots. Emma picked her up in her car, a white Volkswagen Jetta that had seen better days but was clearly loved by its owner. "You're nervous," Emma observed as they drove toward the outskirts of downtown. "Is it that obvious? You're playing with your hands. You always do that when you're nervous." Emma reached over and briefly took one of her hands, squeezing it gently before letting go to shift gears. "Don't worry. They're going to like you." Carmen and Sophie's house was on a quiet street near the elementary school. It was a typical New England house, white clapboard siding, a carved wooden door, and a backyard full of plants and a small patio. Carmen opened the door, a woman of about 35, tall, with short blonde-dyed hair and a warm smile. Sophie appeared behind her, shorter, with glasses and an apron that said, "Kiss the cook." "Emma, you made it." Carmen hugged her effusively, then looked at Lucy with curiosity. "And you must be the famous Lucy. Emma has told us about you." "Really?" Lucy looked at Emma, who blushed slightly. "Only good things, don't worry," Sophie said, inviting them in. "Well, Mostly good things. She also mentioned you broke her heart 12 years ago, but were willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. Lucy didn't know whether to laugh or feel mortified. She opted for honesty. I deserved it. I was an idiot. At least you're honest. Carmen winked at her. That's a good start. Come on, the others are already here. In the backyard, there were 6 other people. 2 couples and 2 single women. All were around Emma and Lucy's age. Professionals living in Woodstock or nearby towns. There was a gay architect named Robert and his boyfriend Daniel, who was an English teacher. There were Emma's friends, Patricia, who worked at an art gallery, and Monica, who was a veterinarian. The evening was revealing for Lucy. For the first time in her life, she was in a space where being a lesbian was completely normal, where no one hid anything, where couples showed affection openly without fear. There was laughter, good food. Sophie turned out to be an exceptional chef. Wine and conversations that ranged from the trivial to the profound. So, Lucy, Robert said after dinner, when everyone was sitting in the living room having coffee and dessert, Emma told us you just came out to your family. How do you feel about it? Relieved, mainly, Lucy replied. I spent so much time hiding that I forgot how exhausting it was. Now that my family knows and accepts me, I feel like I can breathe for the first time in years. And what about your work? Monica asked. Are they all okay with you being a lesbian? Lucy paused. She hadn't really thought about that. To be honest, I've never told anyone at work. I keep my personal life very separate from my professional life. I guess there are still parts of my life where I'm hiding. It's a process, Patricia said understandingly. You don't have to come out to everyone at once. What's important is that you're honest with yourself and with the people who matter. Later, when the gathering was ending and people were starting to say goodbye, Carmen pulled Lucy aside. Look, I know I barely know you, she said quietly, but Emma is one of my best friends. I saw her suffer after you left. I saw her try to move on and not be able to completely. So I'm going to tell you this once. If you're not sure about this, if there's any chance you'll run again, please tell her now. Don't make her go through that again. Lucy looked Carmen in the eyes and saw the fierce loyalty of a true friend. I'm sure. I made a horrible mistake 12 years ago out of fear, but now I know who I am, and I know what I want. I want Emma. I'm not running again. Carmen studied her for a moment, then nodded. Good, because if you do, I'll have to chase you. And I'm a very good runner. Lucy laughed, appreciating Carmen's protectiveness toward Emma. On the way back home, Emma drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the gear shift. Lucy watched her profile illuminated by streetlights, memorizing every detail. Your friends are wonderful, Lucy said. They are. They're my chosen family. Emma smiled. Carmen can be intimidating, but she has a heart of gold. Did she warn you she'd chase you if you hurt me? How did you know? Because that's exactly what she'd do. She did the same with Andrea when we started dating. Emma laughed. She's like my overprotective older sister. They stopped in front of Lucy's house. The engine made that particular sound engines make when they've been turned off, but are still hot. Neither made a move to get out. Thank you for taking me tonight, Lucy said. It meant a lot to me, seeing what your life is like here, meeting your friends, feeling like I could have a place in all that. Emma turned to look at her. Lucy, I need to tell you something. These last few days, these last weeks, have been confusing for me. Part of me is still angry at you, still hurts from what happened. But there's another part, a bigger part, that's falling again. Lucy's heart raced. Falling again? In love with you, Emma finished, her voice barely a whisper. And it terrifies me, because I don't know if I can survive losing you again. Without thinking, Lucy reached out and took Emma's hand. You're not going to lose me. Not this time. This time I'm not a scared kid. I'm a woman who knows what she wants and who's willing to fight for it. Emma intertwined her fingers with Lucy's. And what do you want? Lucy took a deep breath. It was now or never. I want you, Emma. I want you the way I wanted you at 18, but with the maturity and courage I didn't have then. I want to know the woman you've become. I want you to know the woman I've become. I want you to give me the chance to show you that you can trust me again. And if you let me, I want to love you the way you deserve to be loved. Openly, honestly, and completely. Tears ran down Emma's cheeks, shining in the streetlight. Are you asking me to be your girlfriend? I'm asking you to give me a chance. A real chance. No more hiding, no more running. Just you and me, discovering if we still fit after all this time. Emma squeezed her hand tightly. Yes, she said, her voice firm despite the tears. Yes, I want that. I want to give you that chance. I want to give us that chance. And there, in the car parked in front of the Morgan house, under the soft streetlight, Lucy slowly leaned toward Emma. She stopped inches from her lips, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. But Emma didn't pull away. Instead, she closed the distance between them. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, two people relearning the taste of each other after 12 years, but then it deepened. Years of repressed desire and unexpressed love flowing between them. Lucy's hands tangled in Emma's hair, and Emma's hands held Lucy's face with a tenderness that made her want to cry. When they finally separated, both were breathless. 12 years, Emma said, her forehead resting against Lucy's. We lost 12 years. Then let's not lose another moment, Lucy replied. The following weeks were like living in a perfect bubble. Lucy and Emma saw each other every day, sometimes just for coffee. Other times they spent hours walking through Woodstock streets, talking about everything and nothing. Each conversation was a discovery, each moment together a reaffirmation that this was real, that after so much time, they were finally where they should be. But Woodstock was a small town, and small towns talk. The first rumor reached Lucy's ears through her brother. Daniel came home one afternoon with a worried face, finding Lucy in the living room reviewing some hardware store documents his mother had asked him to organize. Sis, I need to tell you something, he said, closing the door behind him. Lucy looked up, noticing his serious tone. What's wrong? At the hardware store today, Mr. Henderson made a comment, something about seeing you with Emma Walker. Very close. He said you seemed like more than friends. Daniel sat next to her. I didn't respond, but people are starting to notice, to talk. Lucy felt a knot in her stomach. She knew this would come eventually, but she had been so absorbed in her happiness with Emma that she had forgotten to prepare for the consequences. And does that bother you? She asked carefully. That people think Emma and I are a couple? Daniel looked at her with a mixture of surprise and some pain. Bother me? Lucy, you're my sister. What bothers me is that for 12 years you felt like you had to hide from us. What bothers me is that the townspeople might make you feel bad for being happy. He took her hand. But if you're asking me if I care that you're a lesbian, or that you're with Emma, the answer is no. All I care about is that you're happy. And since you came back and reconciled with her, you're the happiest I've seen you in years. Lucy hugged her brother, feeling a wave of love and gratitude. Thank you, Daniel. You don't know how much that means to me. But sis, Daniel pulled back a bit to look at her. You need to know that not everyone is going to be so understanding. This town, you know how it is. There are open-minded people, but there are also very traditional, very conservative people. Mom and I will always support you, but you have to be prepared to face comments, looks, maybe even rejection from some people. I know, Lucy sighed. Emma is worried about that too. She's been living openly as a lesbian here longer, and she's told me about the difficulties she's faced. So what are you going to do? Are you going to hide? Lucy thought about her grandmother's letter, about her father's words, about the 12 years she had already wasted hiding. No, we're not going to hide. We've already lost too much time doing that. But we're not going to make a public announcement either. We're just going to live our lives honestly. And if people have problems with that, that's their problem, not ours. Daniel smiled. That's my brave sister. But bravery, Lucy discovered, was easier to proclaim than to practice. The first real test came the following Sunday. Margaret had insisted the whole family go to church together, as they used to do when Robert was alive. It was an important tradition for her, a way to keep her husband's memory and find comfort in her faith. Lucy had attended church irregularly during her adult life in Boston, and the idea of sitting in St. James Episcopal Church, where everyone had known her since she was a child, filled her with anxiety. But it was important to her mother, so she agreed. The 11 o'clock service was full as always. The colonial church was majestic with its high vaults, stained glass windows that projected colors onto the polished wooden pews, and the smell of incense and candle wax. Lucy entered with her mother and brother, and immediately felt the stares. Mrs. Patterson, the neighbor from 3 houses down, whispered something to her husband as they passed. Mr. Henderson, who had been a hardware store customer for decades, greeted them but with a coldness that hadn't been there before. The Mitchell sisters, 2 older women known for their love of gossip, openly watched them from their usual pew. Lucy sat between her mother and brother, trying to concentrate on the service. Father Michael, a 60-year-old man with completely white hair, gave his sermon on love and charity. He spoke of accepting one's neighbor, of not judging, of living according to Christ's teachings. The words were beautiful, but Lucy couldn't help wondering how many of the people in that church actually practiced them. It was when leaving that it happened. Margaret had stopped to talk to a friend, and Lucy was waiting on the church steps when Mrs. Walker, Emma's mother, appeared. She was a 57-year-old woman, thin, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, and an expression that always seemed to be evaluating and finding faults. Lucy had known her all her life. As a child, she had spent countless hours at the Walker house, and Mrs. Walker had always been kind to her. But that was before. "Lucy Morgan," Mrs. Walker said, approaching with measured steps. "What a surprise to see you at church. I thought you no longer practiced the faith, with your modern city life." There was an edge to her words that Lucy recognized immediately. "Good morning, Mrs. Walker. I just came to accompany my mom." "How considerate of you." The older woman stood in front of her, close enough that their conversation was private, but far enough to maintain appearances. "Though I wonder if you should be more concerned about your soul than accompanying your mother." Lucy felt her blood freeze. "Excuse me, I don't understand what you mean." "Oh, I think you do understand." Mrs. Walker's eyes hardened. "I've heard the rumors, Lucy, about you and my daughter, about the nature of your friendship." "Mrs. Walker, I let Emma live her life as she wanted," the woman interrupted. "I let her bring her lifestyle into my house, tell me about her sins. I've endured it because she's my daughter, and I love her, despite everything. But I'm not going to allow you to drag her deeper into that world of perdition." Lucy felt rage boiling in her chest, but forced herself to maintain composure. They were on the church steps, surrounded by people. "With all due respect, ma'am, what's between Emma and me is none of your business. Emma is my daughter. Everything that has to do with her is my business." Mrs. Walker took a step closer, lowering her voice. "You left 12 years ago, Lucy, and my girl was finally healing. She was finally building a life, even if it wasn't the life I would have chosen for her. And now you come back and mess everything up again. What happens when you get bored of playing this game? When you decide Boston is more comfortable than facing the reality of living as what you are? Are you going to leave her again with a broken heart?" The words hit Lucy like physical slaps. But the worst was that they touched her own secret fears, the questions that kept her awake some nights. "I love your daughter," Lucy said, her voice firm despite the trembling she felt inside. "I loved her 12 years ago, and I love her now. And yes, I made the mistake of letting her go then, but I'm not going to make that mistake again." "Love," Mrs. Walker almost spat the word, "is not enough when it's a perverted love. When it goes against God's laws and nature, you're condemning her to a life of secrets, of shame, of never being able to have a real family, children." "Mom, stop." Both turned. Emma had arrived without either noticing. She stood a few meters away, dressed in a dark blue dress appropriate for church, but her eyes shone with contained tears and rage. "Emma, I know what you're doing." Emma climbed the steps to stand next to Lucy. "The same thing you've been doing for years. Trying to make me feel bad about who I am. Trying to convince me there's something wrong with me. You're my daughter. I only want what's best for you. No, you want what's easiest for you. You want me to fit into the perfect image you had in your head, no matter if that makes me miserable." Emma took Lucy's hand. intertwining their fingers in front of her mother and in front of anyone who was watching. "I'm a lesbian, Mom. I always have been. And Lucy didn't make me this way, or corrupt me or drag me anywhere. I told her I loved her when we were 18. I made that decision." "Emma, please." Mrs. Walker looked around nervously, aware of the curious stares directed at them. "Don't make a scene." "A scene? For years I've kept my private life separate from you to not make you uncomfortable. I've pretended my sexual orientation is something we never mention, something you hide like it's a shameful disease, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm with Lucy. I love her. And if that's a problem for you, then that's your problem, not mine." Mrs. Walker stood paralyzed, her face pale. For a moment, Lucy thought she was going to cry, or yell, or something, but instead, the older woman simply turned around and walked away, disappearing among the crowd of parishioners leaving the church. Emma was trembling. Lucy wrapped her arm around her, not caring who was watching. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered. "I didn't want you to witness that. You don't have to apologize. You were incredibly brave." "I don't feel brave. I feel like I just broke my mother's heart." Margaret appeared then, having witnessed the end of the confrontation. She approached Emma, and to the surprise of both young women, hugged her. "Your mother loves you, Emma," Margaret said softly. "She's confused and scared. But she loves you. Give her time. Sometimes parents need time to adjust to realities we didn't expect. But if she truly loves you, she'll get over it." Emma clung to Margaret, crying openly now. Lucy felt her heart swell with love for her mother, for her ability to extend compassion, even when Emma's own mother couldn't. The rest of the day was difficult. Emma was quiet, processing what had happened. They went for a walk at the Green Mountain Audubon Nature Center, a green oasis on the outskirts of town where they could be alone with their thoughts. They sat on a bench overlooking a pond, the wind gently moving the tree branches around them. "Do you ever regret it?" Emma suddenly asked. "Coming back, looking for me, all this?" Lucy took her hand. "Never. Not for a second. The only thing I regret is not doing this 12 years ago. But look what's happening. My mom hates us. People in town are talking. This is going to affect your life, your reputation." "My reputation doesn't matter," Lucy interrupted. "What matters is you. What matters is that after years of living a lie, I'm finally living my truth. And yes, that's going to be difficult sometimes. There will be people who don't understand, who judge us, who talk. But Emma, I spent 12 years without you, and they were the emptiest years of my life. I'd rather face 1,000 gossips with you by my side than live one more day pretending to be someone I'm not." Emma rested her head on Lucy's shoulder. "How can you be so sure?" "Because I finally know who I am. And more importantly, I know I want to spend the rest of my life with you, if you'll let me." Emma lifted her head to look at her. "The rest of your life?" Lucy realized what she had just said and felt a moment of panic. Maybe it was too soon to talk about the future, to make such big promises, but then she looked into Emma's eyes and knew it was true. She didn't want a future without this woman. "Yes," she said firmly, "the rest of my life. Not now. I'm not asking us to move in together tomorrow or get married next week, but I want you to know this isn't temporary for me. I'm not here to play. I'm here to stay." Emma smiled through her tears. "Good. Because I don't want this to be temporary either." They kissed there, under the December sun, surrounded by nature and far from curious eyes. It was a kiss that promised a future, that sealed a commitment, not with words, but with actions. The following days were a mixture of challenges and triumphs. The incident with Emma's mother had become the town's main gossip. But to Lucy's surprise, the reaction wasn't universally negative. Carmen and Sophie organized a dinner at their house specifically to show their support. Several friends from the LGBT group shared their own stories of facing family rejection and how they had overcome it. The community's solidarity was a balm for Emma, who had been devastated by the confrontation with her mother. There were also positive surprises. Father Michael, the priest who had given the sermon about love and charity, asked to speak with Emma privately. Lucy waited outside the church rectory, nervous, while Emma went inside to meet with him. When Emma came out half an hour later, she had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. "What happened?" Lucy asked anxiously. He told me God loves me just as I am, Emma replied, her voice full of amazement. That the church may have its rules, but the heart of Christian faith is love and acceptance. He said my mother is struggling with her own beliefs, but that he hopes she'll eventually find peace. And he told me I'll always be welcome in his church, no matter who I choose to spend my life with. Lucy felt a wave of gratitude toward the elderly priest. Not all church representatives were so understanding. There were also negative responses, of course. Some of the hardware store's oldest customers stopped frequenting it, muttering about family values and bad influences. Mrs. Richardson, the neighbor, stopped greeting Margaret on the street. Some of Emma's mother's friends from the sewing circle stopped inviting her to their meetings. But for every door that closed, another opened. The owner of one of the town's most prestigious art galleries, a French woman named Margot, who had lived openly with her female partner for years, offered Emma several large design contracts. Other downtown merchants, many of them foreigners or more open-minded people, began seeking Emma's studio services specifically because they wanted to support LGBT businesses. Daniel turned out to be an unexpected but powerful ally. When he heard a customer at the hardware store make a derogatory comment about his sister, he confronted him directly. "Lucy is my sister and I love her just as she is," Daniel said firmly, in front of several other customers. "If you have a problem with that, you can take your business elsewhere. This is a hardware store that accepts and serves everyone, regardless of who they are or who they love." The customer left indignantly, but others who witnessed the exchange patted Daniel on the back, expressing their support. The story spread through town, and paradoxically, the hardware store began receiving more customers, people who wanted to support a business that stood for inclusion and acceptance. A month after the incident at church, Emma received a text message from her mother. "Can we talk?" Emma showed Lucy the message, who was sitting on her apartment sofa, working on her laptop while Emma sketched at her drawing table. "What do you think she wants?" Emma asked, anxious. "There's only one way to find out. Do you want me to go with you?" Emma shook her head. "I think this is something I need to do alone. But can you wait for me? Be here when I get back? Always," Lucy promised. Emma went to her mother's house, a small one-story construction near the town market. Mrs. Walker received her at the door, looking tired, as if she hadn't slept well in weeks. They sat in the living room, with cups of chamomile tea that neither touched. Silence stretched uncomfortably until Mrs. Walker finally spoke. "I talked to Father Michael," she said. "He quoted me many verses about love and compassion. He reminded me that Jesus spent his time with the marginalized, with those society rejected. He made me think." Emma waited, not daring to interrupt. "I also talked to your Aunt Rose. You know, my sister in Burlington. I told her about you and Lucy. I expected her to support me, to tell me I was right to be upset." Mrs. Walker paused. "But instead, she told me something I never knew. She told me that when she was 20 years old, she also fell in love with a woman. That she lived with that secret her whole life. That she married your Uncle Robert not out of love but out of obligation, and that she spent 40 years wondering what her life would have been like if she had had the courage to be honest." Tears began rolling down Mrs. Walker's cheeks. "She told me, 'Don't make my mistake. Don't lose your daughter by clinging to rules that only cause pain.' And I realized she was right. I've been so worried about what people will say, about what the church says, about what I thought was right, that I forgot the most important thing. You're my daughter and I love you." "Mom, I'm not going to lie to you, Emma. I still struggle to understand it. I still think it's difficult. But I'm trying. I'm really trying to see beyond my prejudices, my upbringing, my fears. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather have you in my life, even if that means accepting things I don't completely understand. That's all I ask, Mom. I don't expect you to understand everything right away. Just give me a chance. Give me the chance to show you that my life isn't sad or empty or sinful. That I'm happy. That Lucy makes me happy." Mrs. Walker nodded slowly. I'd like to get to know her better, Lucy. Not as the girl who used to run through my house, but as your partner. Do you think you could both come to dinner? Together." Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Really? Really, I don't promise it'll be comfortable at first. I'll probably say the wrong things, put my foot in my mouth. But I want to try, Emma, for you. Because you're my daughter, and I love you more than any rule or belief." Emma hugged her mother, both crying now. It wasn't a perfect resolution. It wasn't complete and immediate acceptance. But it was a beginning. It was a first step toward healing. When Emma returned to the apartment and told Lucy what had happened, Lucy also cried. She cried with relief, with happiness, with gratitude that Emma wouldn't have to choose between her family and her happiness. "She wants us to come to dinner," Emma said. "Both of us. As a couple. And do you want to go?" "Yes, I think so. But Lucy, I need to know. How long are you going to stay in Woodstock? Your job is in Boston. Your life is there. I can't fall completely in love with you again if you're going to leave." Lucy took Emma's hands in hers. "I've been thinking about that. I talked to my boss last week. I explained the situation, that I needed more time here, and she offered me something, the possibility of working remotely most of the time, going to Boston only 2 or 3 days a month for important meetings, and to supervise restorations that require my physical presence." "Really?" "Really. And I've also been thinking, Woodstock has many colonial churches, many works of art that need restoration. I could start offering my services here, build a local client base. It wouldn't be the same as working in the big Boston museums, but..." Lucy smiled. "I'd be with you, and that's worth more than any prestigious project. Are you saying you want to move here permanently?" "I'm saying I want to build a life with you, and if that life is in Woodstock, then yes, I want to move here." "What do you think?" Emma answered by kissing her, a kiss that was response, promise, and celebration all at the same time. 1 year later, December had returned to Woodstock, bringing with it the crisp air, the intense blue sky, and preparation for Christmas celebrations. The historic downtown streets were decorated with wreaths and Christmas lights, and the smell of mulled cider and gingerbread filled the air. In a newly painted cream-colored house on Maple Street, Lucy and Emma were preparing their first Christmas dinner together in their own home. They had moved in together 6 months ago, after Lucy sold her apartment in Boston and made her transfer to Woodstock official. The house was small but perfect: 2 bedrooms, a spacious kitchen, a bright living room, and best of all, a studio on the 2nd floor with enough space for Emma to work on her designs and Lucy to have her own restoration workshop. "Do you think we brought enough food?" Emma asked, looking at the table full of dishes: turkey, green bean casserole, apple salad, mulled cider, pies that Mrs. Walker had insisted on making. "I think we could feed the whole town," Lucy laughed, placing the last dish. But better too much than not enough. They had invited an intimate group: Margaret and Daniel, Emma's mother, Carmen and Sophie, and some other close friends. It was their way of celebrating not just Christmas, but everything they had built together over the past year. Life hadn't been perfect. There were still challenges. Some people in town still looked at them with disapproval. The hardware store had lost some customers, though it had gained others. Emma's mother still struggled sometimes with complete acceptance, though she was genuinely trying. And there were moments of doubt, of insecurity, of fear. But there were also triumphs. Emma's studio was thriving more than ever. Lucy had secured an important contract to restore the frescoes of one of the region's oldest colonial churches. They had found their place in Woodstock's LGBT community, a small but growing group of people who supported each other. And most importantly, they had built a life together based on honesty, love, and mutual commitment. The doorbell rang, and guests began arriving. Daniel came first with Margaret, who hugged both women with the same affection. "The house looks beautiful, girls," Margaret said, looking around with approval. "You've really made a home here." Emma's mother arrived shortly after, carrying a tray of pies covered with an embroidered cloth. She greeted Lucy with a hug that was still somewhat stiff but sincere. "Thank you for inviting me, Lucy," she said. "This is your home, Mrs. Walker. You'll always be welcome." Dinner was loud and cheerful. There was laughter, shared stories, toasts to those absent, especially to Robert, whose presence was felt in the love he had left in his family, and a sense of community that warmed more than any mulled cider. After dinner, when some guests had left and others were having coffee in the living room, Emma led Lucy to the small balcony overlooking the street. Christmas lights twinkled in neighboring houses, and in the distance they could hear carols being sung at some gathering. "What are you thinking about?" Lucy asked, hugging Emma from behind. "About a year ago. How different everything was then. How scared I was to let you back into my life." Emma turned to face Lucy, "And how grateful I am that I took the risk." "Me too. Every day I wake up and still can't believe this is real, that you're here, with me, that we've built this together." Emma smiled, that smile that still made Lucy's heart race after more than a year. "I have something for you," Emma said, taking a small wrapped box from her sweater pocket. An early Christmas present. Lucy carefully opened the box. Inside were 2 silver rings, simple but elegant, with a tiny inscription inside. "No more running." "Emma." Tears filled Lucy's eyes. "They're not engagement rings, not yet." Emma hurried to clarify. "I know it's too soon for that, but they're a promise. A promise that we're in this together, that we're going to face whatever comes together, that we're not going to run when things get difficult." Lucy took out one of the rings and put it on Emma's finger, then let Emma do the same with her. "No more running," Lucy repeated, kissing Emma's hand. "I promise you." They kissed under Woodstock's starry sky, with the sound of carols floating in the air and Christmas lights twinkling around them. It was a perfect moment, but more than that, it was a real moment. It wasn't the end of a fairy tale, but the beginning of a life together with all its challenges and joys. Inside the house, Margaret watched through the window, a smile on her face. Daniel approached and followed her gaze. "They're happy," he said simply. "Yes," Margaret replied. "And Robert would be so proud." Lucy finally found the courage to be who she really is. Dad was always wiser than he appeared. Margaret nodded, touching the necklace she wore, a gift from her husband from many years ago. He knew true love is rare and precious, and he knew that when you find it, you have to hold on to it, no matter what the world says. Outside, Lucy and Emma finally separated, their foreheads resting together, the new rings shining softly on their clasped hands. "I love you," Lucy said. "And I love you," Emma replied. "I always did, even when I tried not to. Do you think your grandmother is watching us? And my dad?" Emma looked at the starry sky. "I think so. And I think they're smiling. I wish your grandmother Dorothy was there too, with my grandmother Helen, finally together, like they should have been in life." "That's a beautiful image," Emma smiled. "Two loves who waited too long, finally reunited." "Not like us. We didn't wait too long. We found our way back to each other." "Yes." Emma kissed her softly. "Yes, we did." They went back inside the house, where their friends and family waited for them. There were more laughs to share, more stories to tell, more moments to create. Life wouldn't be perfect. There would be challenges ahead, difficult moments, complicated days, but they would face them together because they had learned the most important lesson. True love is worth any sacrifice, any struggle, any price. And when you finally have the courage to accept it, to live it openly and without fear, it transforms not only your life, but the world around you. On Woodstock streets, under December's starry sky, 2 women had found their way back to each other, and in that encounter, they had also found their way back to themselves. And that, Lucy thought, as she watched Emma laugh with her friends, surrounded by love and acceptance, was more than she had ever dared to dream. If you enjoyed this story of love, overcoming, and courage, subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. And tell us in the comments, do you know someone who had the courage to live their truth no matter what others say? Your stories inspire others to be brave too.